The phone on the table wouldn't stop vibrating, inching closer to the edge every time it buzzed. Maya caught it with 2 fingers without looking, the way you learn to do when your life is basically balancing plates you can't afford to drop. "Miss," the man said, smiling like he already knew the end of the story. His watch looked heavier than her entire paycheck. "Just say it." In Chinese. Maya stood there with a tray that felt too hot against her palm. A cold Starbucks cup sweated onto the marble bar. Somebody at the table behind him laughed, sharp, quick, like a video about to go viral. The man leaned back in his chair and lowered his voice like he was doing her a favor. 600,000 says you can't. Maya felt the laugh in her throat, the kind you swallow because you need your job. Her eyes flicked to the door, then to the corner where the manager stood frozen. Her phone buzzed again. A text from her landlord. 1 word, tomorrow. She looked back at the man and finally met his eyes. She said calmly. His smile didn't move for a full second. Then it fell apart. Maya lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens where the radiator clanged like it was trying to start an argument. The place smelled like old paint and lemon cleaner, because she scrubbed when she was stressed, and she was stressed most of the time. Her neighbor on the other side of the thin wall played the same 3 songs every night. Somewhere upstairs a kid kept running back and forth, like the hallway was a racetrack and not somebody's home. She worked double shifts at Harbour & Stone, a modern seafood place near the East River that charged too much for oysters and made you feel like you should whisper even when you were laughing. On her days off, when she actually got them, she watched other people's lives through the window of a laundromat, sitting with her basket and pretending she wasn't counting quarters. Money was the loudest thing in her life even when nobody said the word. It showed up as the processing fee on her phone bill, the extra $1 on eggs, the new policy at work where servers had to pay for their own broken glasses. It showed up as her mother's voice on the phone, trying to sound casual while asking how Maya was really doing, because moms always know. "I'm fine," Maya would say. "Just tired." "Baby, you always tired," her mom would answer, soft but not fooled. "You eating?" Maya would look at the fridge, half a carton of eggs, some spinach that had already given up, a bottle of cheap iced coffee. "Yeah," she'd lie. "I'm eating." Her mom lived in Baltimore and worked the front desk at a medical clinic. She'd raised Maya mostly on her own after Maya's dad left when she was 10. Not dramatic, not a big blow-up. He just slowly stopped being around, like a show that gets cancelled mid-season. There were no villains, just a lot of disappointment that never got addressed. Maya had learned early that being strong didn't mean you didn't feel things. It meant you felt them and still showed up to work on time. At Harbour & Stone, she wore a black apron and a practice smile. Her manager, Tara, liked to say, "Your energy is your tip," like bills could be paid with vibes. Tara wasn't a bad person. She was just exhausted in a different way, trying to keep a restaurant alive in a city that ate everything. Tara had a kid in middle school and a permanent crease between her eyebrows from looking at numbers. Maya didn't hate her job. She hated what the job represented. The feeling of being one emergency away from drowning. The way her feet hurt all the time. The way customers could treat you like furniture and still expect you to be grateful. The only thing that didn't feel like survival was language. In high school, Maya had taken Spanish because it was required. She'd loved it so much she started doing lessons online, finding free PDFs, listening to podcasts in her earbuds while she rode the bus. She learned the way some people learned to lift weights, quietly, consistently, like it was building a version of herself she could trust. Chinese came later. Her best friend in community college, Lily, had been a first-generation Chinese-American girl with sharp eyeliner and a laugh that sounded like confidence. Lily's grandmother lived with her family and watched Chinese dramas all day at full volume. One night, Maya had been sitting on Lily's couch eating instant noodles, half listening to the TV, when she realized she could pick out patterns. The rhythm. The repeats. The little words that came up again and again. "What does that mean?" Maya asked, pointing at the screen. Lily blinked. "You serious?" Maya nodded. Lily grabbed her phone and showed her a language app. "If you learn, you gotta promise you're not gonna be annoying about it." Maya laughed. "I'm always annoying." She started with basics, then tones, then more tones, then realizing she had learned the tones wrong, then learning them again. She practiced in the mirror because she was embarrassed. She wrote characters on scrap receipts during slow shifts. She listened to Chinese news clips while she closed out checks at the server station. It was hard, and she liked that it was hard. It felt like something that belonged to her, not something the world assigned her. But she didn't tell many people. Not because she was hiding it like a secret weapon, but because it didn't match the version of her that people seemed comfortable believing in. She was a black woman in her mid-20s, working service jobs, hair pulled back, eyes tired. People made assumptions all day. Sometimes it was easier to let them. That week, the pressure got worse. Her rent was going up again. Tara posted a new schedule with fewer hours for everyone, talking about seasonal slowdown. Maya's mom called and tried to sound fine while mentioning her car was acting funny. Maya heard the fear under the words, the part her mother didn't want to put on her daughter. Then, on a Thursday night, Harbour and Stone got a big party reservation. Corporate-looking group. 9 people. Expensive wine. The kind of table that could make your night, if they were decent. Tara pulled Maya aside. You got them, she said. They're big spenders. Just keep it smooth. Maya wiped her hands on her apron and took a breath. Smooth. She could do smooth. At the table sat a man in a crisp navy suit, early 40s, clean haircut, the kind of smile that belonged on a conference stage. A couple of people leaned toward him like gravity worked differently around money. He introduced himself as Elliot Crane. Maya noticed how he said his own name, like it was a brand. Welcome, she said. Can I start you off with sparkling or still? He looked at her, then at his friends, then back at her like he was deciding which version of polite he felt like wearing. I'll take still, he said. Then, almost as an aside, he added, you understand Mandarin? Maya paused. Not long. Just enough to register the weirdness. I do, she said simply. Elliot's eyebrows lifted. A soft laugh traveled around the table. Someone said, no way. Maya kept her face neutral. What can I get you for appetizers? Elliot leaned forward, amused. Say something in Chinese. There it was. The little test. The little performance request. Like she was a party trick. I can take your order, Maya said, still calm. His smile sharpened. Come on. Just one line. Maya felt heat rise in her chest. Not rage, exactly. More like that tired feeling of being pushed into a corner you didn't choose. She glanced at Tara across the room, hoping for support. Tara looked away, busy pretending she didn't see. Elliot's friend, a woman with a sleek bun, laughed again. He's been to Shanghai like 3 times, she said. He thinks he's fluent. Elliot lifted a finger. Hey, I'm not claiming fluent, he said. I'm just saying. I can tell when someone's faking. Then he said it. The bet. Loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Like it was cute. $600,000, Elliot announced, as if he were offering a scholarship. That you can't speak Mandarin. Maya heard her own heartbeat. She thought of her mom's car. The rent. The landlord's text. The way her bank app looked like a joke every time she opened it. She thought of how much money that was, and how easy it would be for someone like Elliot to say it out loud like a dare. She also thought of something else. Something smaller but heavier. Self-respect. Maya didn't raise her voice. She didn't smile. She didn't perform. She just looked at him and said, clear and steady. Are you sure? Elliot's face changed in a way Maya recognized. It was the moment someone realizes the world is not built to entertain them. The table went quiet. Even the people who had been laughing stopped. Elliot blinked, then gave a short, uncomfortable chuckle. Okay, he said, trying to recover. Lucky phrase. Anyone can memorize that. Maya nodded once. If you'd like, I can answer in Mandarin any questions about the menu. Elliot's friend started watching him instead of her, and that shift, small, almost invisible, felt like air coming back into the room. Elliot cleared his throat. Fine, he said. What do you recommend? Maya listed options in English, then repeated the key details in Mandarin, smooth and natural, like it wasn't a big deal. She wasn't doing it for applause. She was doing it because it was true. When she walked away, her hands shook for the first time. In the service station, another waitress, Jenna, stared at her. "Girl," Jenna whispered. "Did you just—" Maya exhaled slowly. "Yeah." Jenna's eyes went wide. "Oh my God. That was wild." Maya didn't feel wild. She felt tired. She felt like she'd been holding her breath for years and finally let a little bit out. Later, Tara pulled her aside, frowning like she was about to scold her. "You okay?" Tara asked. Maya looked at her. "Are we okay with customers betting on whether I'm lying about who I am?" Tara's face flushed. She opened her mouth, then closed it. "He's important," she said weakly. Maya nodded. "So am I." Tara stared at her for a second, like she wasn't used to employees saying the quiet part out loud. Then she sighed and rubbed her forehead. "Just don't escalate." Maya wanted to laugh, but it wouldn't come. "I didn't escalate," she said. "I answered a question." The night kept moving. Plates. Checks. Smiles. The table spent a lot of money. They tipped decently, like that was supposed to wash the moment clean. But as Maya wiped down her section at closing time, she noticed Elliot watching her from across the room, his expression less smug now. More curious. Maybe even embarrassed. People like him didn't often get surprised by someone they'd already decided was beneath them. Maya walked to the back, grabbed her coat, and checked her phone. Another message from her landlord. Another tomorrow. She stood under the harsh light of the employee hallway and felt the truth of her life settle on her shoulders again. Speaking Mandarin didn't fix rent. It didn't change how the world looked at her. It didn't stop people from making bets about her intelligence like it was sport. But it reminded her of something she could not afford to forget. She had built something inside herself that nobody could take away. And even if the world didn't clap for it, it was still real. The next morning, Maya woke up before her alarm, the grey light barely pushing through the blinds. Her phone was still in her hand. She must have fallen asleep holding it, like it could protect her from whatever waited on the other side of the screen. The landlord hadn't texted again, which somehow made it worse. Silence always felt like pressure. She sat up slowly, listening to the building wake around her. Someone slammed a door. Pipes rattled. A siren passed, distant but familiar. New York didn't care if you were ready or not. It just kept moving. On the subway ride to work, she replayed the night before in her head. Not the bet itself, but the way the room had shifted. The moment Elliot's confidence cracked. She wasn't proud in a loud way. She didn't feel victorious. Mostly, she felt exposed. Like she'd shown a part of herself she usually kept tucked away for safety. At Harbour and Stone, the mood was different. Jenna hugged her without asking. A busbar she barely talked to gave her a nod of respect. Tara avoided eye contact for most of the pre-shift meeting. Maya didn't bring it up. She didn't want it to become a thing. Experience had taught her that attention faded fast, and when it did, you were often left worse off than before. Halfway through the lunch rush, Tara finally pulled her aside. "Hey," Tara said, quieter than usual. "So," Elliot Crane called. Maya's stomach tightened. "About what?" Tara crossed her arms, then uncrossed them. "He asked about you. Like, specifically. Wanted to know your name. Your background." Maya felt that familiar internal resistance rise up. The instinct to brace. And I told him you're a great server," Tara said. "Which you are." "That's it." Tara hesitated. "He said he might come back. For a conversation." Maya stared at her. "A conversation about what?" Tara shrugged, uncomfortable. "I don't know. Networking? Look, I'm just telling you." Maya nodded, but her chest felt tight. She didn't like the idea of becoming a curiosity. She'd seen how that went. People wanted the story, not the person. They wanted to feel impressed without doing any real reflection. The rest of the shift dragged. Every time the door opened, Maya looked up, half expecting to see Elliot walk in. He didn't. After work, instead of heading straight home, Maya sat on a bench near the East River with a cheap sandwich and her headphones in. She played a Chinese podcast she'd been following for months, but the words slid past her. Her mind kept circling the same question. What now? She'd spent years learning to survive quietly. Keep your head down. Don't give anyone a reason to mess with you. Last night had broken that rule, even if it hadn't been intentional. Her phone buzzed. A voicemail notification. From a number she didn't recognize. She almost deleted it without listening. Then something stopped her. The message was short. Male voice. Controlled. Polite. Hi, Maya. This is Elliot Crane. I hope this isn't inappropriate. I got your number through the restaurant. I wanted to apologize for last night. What I said was disrespectful. I didn't realize it until after. If you're open to it, I'd appreciate a chance to talk. No pressure. No pressure. People always said that right before applying it anyway. Maya stared at the river, at the way the water looked dark and heavy even in daylight. She thought about ignoring the message. That would be easier. Safer. But another thought crept in, quieter but persistent. Avoiding discomfort had kept her afloat, but it hadn't gotten her anywhere else. She didn't call back that night. The next day, her mom called during her lunch break. You sound different, her mom said after Maya explained the situation in vague terms. Not bad. Just louder. Maya smiled faintly. I don't feel loud. You don't have to feel it for it to be true, her mom said. Just be careful, okay? People with money like to feel generous. Sometimes it's more about them than you. I know, Maya said. And she did. But she also knew that saying no to everything hadn't exactly protected her either. That evening, she sent a short text. You can talk. Coffee. Public place. The reply came almost immediately. Of course. Thank you. Tomorrow. They met at a small coffee shop in Midtown, the kind with mismatched chairs and too many laptops. Elliot arrived early. Maya noticed because she always noticed power dynamics now. Who waited? Who didn't? He stood when he saw her, awkward and unsure, like he'd rehearsed and still gotten it wrong. Thanks for coming, he said. Maya ordered black coffee. She didn't sit right away. Before we start, she said, I'm not here to be a lesson. Or an inspiration. Elliot nodded quickly. I understand. She finally Saturday. He took a breath. I was showing off, he said. That's not an excuse. Just the truth. I thought I was being funny. And then you spoke, and I realized how small I sounded. Maya listened without interrupting. She didn't forgive him. She didn't reject him either. She just let him talk. I run a global logistics company, he continued. We work with teams in Beijing and Shenzhen. I thought I understood culture. Clearly, I don't always understand people. Maya wrapped her hands around the warm cup. Understanding people takes practice, she said. Just like language. Elliot nodded slowly. That's actually why I wanted to talk. We're expanding. We need people who understand nuance. Not just vocabulary. I can't offer you a miracle, he said quickly. But I can offer a conversation about options. If you want. There it was. The opening. Not a rescue. Not a fairy tale. Just a door, slightly cracked. Maya felt the familiar resistance again. The voice that said, this isn't for you. You'll be out of place. You'll disappoint everyone. But she also felt something else. A small, stubborn curiosity. What kind of options? She asked. Elliot smiled, not smug this time. Just human. Internships. Training programs. Nothing guaranteed. But real. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, she said. We can talk. As they sat there, surrounded by the quiet hum of other people trying to make sense of their lives, Maya realized something uncomfortable and hopeful at the same time. Change didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived as a choice you weren't sure you were ready to make. Maya didn't tell anyone about the coffee meeting at first. Not Jenna. Not her mom. She carried it around like a glass cup filled too high, afraid that if she set it down, it would spill and prove she'd imagined the whole thing. The next week moved slowly, each day pressing into the next. At work, she caught herself watching the door again, not for Elliot this time, but for a version of her life that hadn't fully arrived yet. The schedules stayed tight. The tips were fine, not great. Tara acted normal, which somehow felt worse than tension. Normal meant nothing had changed. At night, Maya opened her laptop and stared at the email Elliot had sent after the coffee. Links to training programs. A description of an entry-level operations role that paid less than she'd hoped but more than she made now. A sentence that stuck with her longer than the rest. You wouldn't be behind. You'd just be new. She closed the laptop without replying. Being new scared her more than being tired. She knew how to survive where she was. She knew the rhythm of the restaurant, the way to read customers, the shortcuts that saved minutes and energy. Starting over meant admitting she didn't know things. It meant being watched in a different way. Judged in a different way. It also meant risking failure where it would hurt more. Her mom called again, voice lower this time. The mechanic says it's the transmission, she said. I'll figure it out. Maya stared at the crack in her ceiling, the one that looked like a map of somewhere she'd never been. How much? There was a pause. Too much, her mom said gently. Don't worry about it. Maya hung up and sat in silence. She thought about how many times her mother had said that exact sentence over the years. How many times she'd absorbed worry like it was her job. That night, Maya pulled out an old notebook from under her bed. Inside were pages of handwritten Chinese characters, messy and uneven, some crossed out, some circled with question marks. Notes in the margins. Small victories recorded like proof that effort mattered. She flipped through it slowly, remembering how hard it had been at the beginning. How stupid she'd felt mispronouncing simple words. How many times she'd almost quit because progress felt invisible. She hadn't been special then. She just kept going. The breaking point didn't come as a dramatic moment. It came quietly, on a Tuesday afternoon, when Maya was standing in line at the grocery store counting change in her hand. The woman in front of her sighed loudly, annoyed at the delay. Maya felt her face heat up, the old shame rising for no good reason. She thought, I can't do this forever. Not this version of it. That night, she opened Elliot's email again and typed a response. Then deleted it. Then typed another. Then sat back and rubbed her eyes until they burned. What if she said yes and it went nowhere? What if she wasn't as good as he thought? What if this was just another story where someone with power got to feel enlightened and she got left holding expectations she couldn't afford? Her phone buzzed. A message from Jenna. You good? You've been quiet. Maya stared at the screen, then typed back. Can we talk? Like, really talk. They met at Jenna's apartment, sitting on the floor because the couch was buried under laundry. Jenna listened as Maya explained everything. The bet. The coffee. The email. The fear. Jenna didn't interrupt. When Maya finished, she exhaled slowly. Okay, Jenna said. First of all, I'm proud of you. Second, you're overthinking this so hard you're basically trying to protect yourself from hope. Maya laughed weakly. Hope is expensive. Yeah, Jenna said. So is staying stuck. That landed harder than Maya expected. Later, alone in her apartment, Maya finally replied to Elliot. I'm interested. But I need to be honest. I don't have a safety net. The reply came an hour later. Neither did I, once. We can take this step by step. Step by step still meant stepping. The following weeks were rough. Maya juggled work and online training sessions, learning logistics terms that felt foreign at first. She sat in her tiny kitchen with her laptop balanced on a stack of books, listening to people talk about supply chains and cross-cultural communication. Sometimes she felt smart. Other times she felt completely out of place. At Harbour and Stone, her patience wore thin. The jokes from customers stung more. The noise felt louder. She realized how much energy she'd been spending just enduring. One night, after a long shift, Tara asked her to stay behind. I heard you might be leaving, Tara said, not unkindly. Maya nodded. I might. Tara sighed. I wish you'd told me sooner. I didn't know, Maya said. I still don't. Tara leaned against the counter. You deserve more than this place, she said quietly. I just wish the industry made that easier. Maya appreciated the honesty. It didn't erase the past, but it softened it. The real breaking point came the day Maya almost quit the training program. She'd bombed a presentation exercise, freezing halfway through. Her voice shook. The instructor moved on politely, but Maya felt exposed, every old insecurity rushing back. Afterward, she sat in the bathroom of her apartment, staring at herself in the mirror. Same face. Same tired eyes. Who do you think you are? The voice asked. She answered it out loud, surprising herself. I'm someone who learns, she said. Even when it's uncomfortable. She wiped her face, stood up, and logged back in. It wasn't confidence that kept her going. It was refusal. Refusal to let fear decide everything. Nothing about the next few months felt cinematic. There was no big announcement, no dramatic exit from the restaurant, no moment where Maya stood in front of a mirror and suddenly saw a different person. Change came in small, almost boring ways. Earlier mornings. Longer days. A constant feeling of being slightly behind. Maya didn't quit Harbour and Stone right away. She couldn't afford to. She worked lunch shifts, then rushed home to log into training calls. Some nights she fell asleep with her laptop still open, the glow of the screen lighting up the cracks in her ceiling. Her first real win was quiet. An email from Elliot's company confirming a paid, part-time operations role. Not glamorous. Not 6 figures. Just enough to let her breathe. She read the email 3 times before it felt real. When she told her mom, there was a pause on the line. Then her mom let out a laugh that sounded like relief. I knew you had more in you, her mom said. So did you, Maya replied. You just didn't have time to prove it. Her mom was quiet after that. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, she said. Maya gave her notice at the restaurant a week later. Tara hugged her, awkward but sincere. Jenna cried, then demanded they take a picture together by the host stand like it was a milestone. Maya smiled in the photo, but what she felt was something steadier than happiness. She felt aligned. The new job was harder than she expected. Meetings where she spoke less than she listened. Mistakes she owned instead of hiding. Emails she rewrote 5 times before sending. She was still one of the few black women in the room, still aware of how her presence shifted assumptions. But something had changed. When people tested her now, she didn't rush to prove herself. She let her work do that over time. She asked questions without apologizing. She corrected people calmly when they got her wrong. Elliot treated her differently too. Not like a project. Not like a story. Just like a colleague who'd earned his respect. They didn't talk about the bet again. They didn't need to. The biggest change wasn't professional. It was internal. Maya stopped shrinking her interests to fit the room. She signed up for a certification course she'd once thought was for other people. She spoke Mandarin in meetings without waiting to be asked. She helped onboard a new hire who reminded her of herself, quiet, capable, unsure if she belonged. Her mom's car got fixed. Not all at once, not magically. Just one repair at a time. On a random Tuesday evening, months later, Maya found herself back at the East River, sitting on the same bench with a coffee she'd paid for without checking her balance first. The city moved the way it always had. Loud. Indifferent. Alive. She thought about that night at the restaurant. About how easy it had been for someone to turn her into a gamble. About how close she'd come to laughing it off and moving on like nothing happened. The lesson wasn't that she'd won. It was that she'd chosen herself when it would have been easier not to. Her phone buzzed. A message from a coworker asking for help translating a document. Maya smiled and typed back. I got it. As the sky darkened, she realized something simple and true. No one had saved her. No one had handed her a miracle. She had just stopped hiding what she was capable of. And sometimes, in real life, that's enough.